Oh, hello. Hope everybody's doing very well. Very nice. Very well. I hope that everybody is free. But of course, I know everybody's not free. Depending on your definition of a slave, everybody's a slave. You know, one way or another, everybody's a slave. But the objective is for us to be free, which is what the Bible is all about. And people have been discussing this topic for a while, but it's like a lot of people, most people just overlook one crucial detail about biblical quote unquote slavery or servitude. And that is, if the slave wanted to get up and go somewhere else, he could. Just like we can today, which is not recommendable. I mean, in many cases, it's not a good idea, but we can get up and leave. They could do the same thing in Israel. So that just kind of debunks the idea of slavery being the same as what we understand it to mean today. Of course, the devil's always in the definition of things. That's why people are so confused. And of course, they're attacking God, which they should know better than to attack God. And that is the problem. That is the first problem to begin with. They should know better than to think that they know more than their maker. And that's the thing we should be thinking about. How are you doing, Honesty Angel? We should be thinking about, what the fact that we have a maker, and more than anything, we should know that we have a creator first and foremost of all. Because if you don't understand that you have a creator, you don't understand anything. So you have to go back to the basics and understand that you were ordered to be a human, literally ordered to be a human, because we have instructions inside of us that make us a human and keep making us to be a human and remake us to be a human until those written orders, instructions um, become corrupt, which is what everything is all about, is whether or not something is corrupt or not. And we live in a corrupt world that's decaying, and so everything we do is decaying. So the Bible is vindicated always, no matter what argument that people come up with. And to say that being a slave in Israel is the same thing as being a slave is just not true. That what we understand as a slave couldn't leave. He had to accept the abuse and was not able to leave, was not able to go anywhere else. And that is just not the case in the Bible. The slave could leave and he could go somewhere else, and he had to be accepted wherever else he went. And he had to be treated right. And if he was abused, he would be free from his debt if he had a debt to pay. So, you know, right there is just the mic drop, That's the word slave doesn't mean slave like the way what we understand as a slave is. So there's that. Um, I don't know if there would be anybody. I'm still looking for someone to have a discussion with, but I'm getting or I always had a complex, but I'm getting a complex because nobody wants to have a discussion with me. And I was thinking that maybe it's because of my personality type, but I don't think any atheists are willing to have a discussion, an actual, real discussion with somebody that knows what they're talking about. Not that I know what I'm talking about, but I mean, any Christian, basically. They just don't want to discuss the facts. And the fact, of course, the first fact you need to know, what is it? The fact that you have a maker, that you are ordered to be a human, and you are also ordered to live forever. In other words, you're ordered to do everything that's right. You're ordered to be perfect. Because God can require nothing less than perfection. Anyway, I just thought I would put this out there. A slave in Israel is not what we understand a slave to be today. It's not the same thing. And the mere fact that a slave in Israel could leave and go somewhere else and have to be accepted wherever else he went proves that it doesn't mean the same thing. And another thing is that if you are working for someone else, you are a slave. If you're not, autonomous or self-supporting, living from, without living from paycheck to paycheck, you are a slave. Because if you're working for someone else, you're making someone else rich, and you're not doing anything for yourself. So, and most people are in that condition, that state. Most people are a slave from the time they are able to work to the time they die, basically, because a lot of people work until they die because they can't afford to retire. So not only are slaves in Israel the same thing as what we think of a slave today, everybody, basically, even people that do have companies are basically a slave to their company anyway, which is a slave to us. So even those people who are employing us many times are slaves to us themselves, because they can't leave and go do something else. Borrower is a slave. There you go. Hello, Jesus is Lord. The borrower is slave to the lender. Yeah, exactly. And if you can't support yourself, and you have to work for someone else, and then you're basically a servant, a servant slave, a biblical slave, a slave like a slave in Israel. But anyways, that was very interesting. I thought I put in the description a link to a video if somebody wants to watch it. It's not my video; it's somebody else's video. And actually, I could actually show it probably here. It's TJ Thompson is her name. Just watch the video. It's a pretty nice video. You guys can watch it too if you want. And there it is. So it's Slavery in the Bible with Mike Winger, Skylar Fiction, Josh Michael Brown, Dr. Josh Michael Brown. What do you mean? But the whole video just goes through in a half an hour, a little bit more than half an hour, goes through all the things about slavery, in spite of Skylar Fiction's not letting people talk. It goes through everything. So I guess that's about it. And I hope everyone has a nice day. A very nice day.